The last major theme park to open in the Orlando area was back in 1999 with Universal's second gate, Islands of Adventure. A year prior, Disney's fourth and latest park, Animal Kingdom, opened. While both have had their changes within the past 2 decades, neither Walt Disney World nor the Universal Orlando Resort have been in much of a rush to open a whole new park. Each has had their own expansions, don't get me wrong. Some changes came in the form of new lands for their existing parks, like Harry Potter's Hogsmeade at Island of Adventure, or Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios. Other expansions were a bit less noticeable, but still important, like a steady growth in each of their hotel offerings. The closest thing we've gotten to a major theme park up until now, however, is with Universal's Volcano Bay, which essentially replaced the former Wet n Wild water park. While each of these have given us a taste of what a modern-day theme park might look like, most of those glimpses have come from overseas. Universal opened parks in Japan, Singapore, and Beijing, while Disney opened new parks in Hong Kong and Shanghai, with a second gate arriving in Tokyo. Whether it be overseas or in the US, new advancements in theme park technology from both Disney and Universal have made the prospect of a new major theme park incredibly exciting. Especially as someone born in the 2000s, I couldn't help but cross my fingers in hopes we'd finally see something from the 2 major players. And after long last, that's finally coming to fruition. While Disney continued to focus on improving their current park lineup, Universal made a monumental announcement. On August 1st, 2019, the company announced what is potentially the most anticipated project in the world of theme parks today, their 3rd theme park of the Orlando Resort, Epic Universe. In this first of a 6-part series, I'll be covering everything we know about this new park. From what to expect based on the major rumors to my own personal thoughts on the matter, these will be the most extensive analysis videos I've ever done. This video will be focused on the hub and hotels, and it can be watched individually from the rest of the series. If you're interested though, be sure to check out the playlist in the description below, and subscribe so you don't miss the next part. Also, special thanks to Orlando Parkstop for compiling much of the information discussed in this series. Links to their articles, along with any other sources, will be in the description below. Now let's get back into the video. Planned to open in the summer of 2025, Epic Universe might be a bigger expansion than you may expect. Located 2 miles away from the main resort, the plot where this theme park will sit is actually more spacious than the current Universal Orlando Resort. Epic Universe will only take up a chunk of that land, leaving room for a potential 4th gate in the far future. The distance from the main resort also leaves it in a bit of a weird position compared to Disney. While Disney owns all the land in between each of their 4 parks, the 2 miles between Universal Studios and Epic Universe already have plenty built between them. The most likely solution is what Universal has done for Volcano Bay, adding shuttle bus stops at each resort for the water park. However, considering the parking structure rumored for Epic Universe, this may not be as big of an issue as I'm suggesting. It won't be as elegant of a solution as Disney has, but they'll make it work. Apart from the park and the parking structure, there seems to be several plots of land available for hotels, with 2 planned to open in 2025 with the park. The first and less interesting of these hotels is the one located where Kirkman Road and Universal Boulevard will soon meet. As part of the construction of Epic Universe, Universal has agreed to expand Kirkman Road from its current position down to meet Universal Boulevard, although with slight funding from the city themselves. This helps both the city and the park, and gave the city even more of an incentive to greenlight the project. Anyways, this hotel will likely be more of a budget-friendly option, which Universal desperately needs more of in their lineup. The only value hotel in their lineup right now is the newly opened Endless Summer Resort, which is actually fairly priced for the majority of the year. The other 6 hotels are significantly more expensive, and while they are each very well-maintained resorts, I think Universal could use a few more options for those looking to save some money. It seems like this hotel could be similar to Endless Summer, with an expansion opening across the road later down the line. That means it won't be an incredibly immersive nor exciting resort by any stretch of the imagination, but one that Universal's resort lineup desperately needs. There is a chance this hotel doesn't open with the park in 2025, but I think it makes a lot of sense to do so. Considering the huge influx of people that will be rushing to the park when it opens, I think it would be a really smart move to capitalize. We'll just have to wait and see to know for sure, but as a whole, this looks like a resort that I might consider staying at. The more exciting and likely more expensive of these 2 resorts will be located inside the park itself. Universal's Helios Grand Hotel, as it's rumored to be named, will be positioned right in the hub of the park, with a theme based on the Greek god of the sun which gives the resort its name. Considering the space theme of the rest of the park, taking the Epic Universe title literally, it only makes sense for the centerpiece of the hub to be themed to the sun. On-site hotels are such a cool concept to me, with one of my favorite examples being Tokyo Disney Sea's Hotel Miracosta. This resort spans the entire entrance of the park, not only serving a practical purpose, but also heavily contributing to the theming of the land. While this doesn't seem quite as well integrated, the theming of the hotel should enhance the look and feel of the hub area. With its prime location and excellent theming, this may just be Universal's most expensive hotel to date. Again, I feel as though Universal already has plenty of high-end resorts, but I can't get too upset at one as cool looking as this. Because of that, I have little to no doubt this will open with the park, as it seems essential to the cohesion of the hub. Not to mention, again, they should really capitalize on that influx of people. That leads us into the hub itself, including what might be the most exciting attraction in the entire park, the Carousel. As you might expect, this should be a pretty standard flat ride, but with two unique elements that make it stand out. The less exciting of those two elements would help in the load and unload process, having each of the seats lower in unison. This is a cool development, but it's also not incredibly shocking to see an improvement made to technology that existed over a century ago. The second and more exciting thing for me is the location. This will be located right along the water, and it seems to have stained glass windows to allow for a great view looking out. This should be an incredibly beautiful carousel, but I'm very curious to see what the seat design will look like. Will it be standard horses, some weird alien creatures, spaceships, or just some abstract objects with modern designs? We'll have to wait to know for sure, but I'm curious how they'll match the aesthetic of the rest of the hub. Before we get to the real star attraction, I'd like to touch on one of the more interesting rumors when it comes to the hub of the park. The idea is that anyone, whether you have a ticket or not, would be able to enter the hub, but then you would have to show your ticket between the gates to each individual land. Now, this is one of those rumors that just floats around from time to time, so who knows if it's true or not, but I think it's an interesting concept. Technically, Universal has done this before. As long as you pay for parking, you can enter Universal City Walk with or without a ticket, but you can't enter either Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure. Where the difference lies for me is in the guest convenience. Lines already tend to form outside the entrance of the two gates into City Walk, and I can imagine that being a problem for the entrance of the 4 separate lands. Not to mention, when compared to City Walk, the hub of Epic Universe doesn't have a ton to justify that. There's a selection of restaurants and shops, sure, but nowhere near the catalog at City Walk. One way I could see this working is if the rides in the hub are free as well, allowing you to not only go on the carousel, but the most thrilling coaster that Epic Universe has to offer. That could increase crowds in this area of the park, so I still don't think it's a great idea, but I also wouldn't mind lapping that Dueling Coaster with no extra charge. That brings us into said coaster. Epic Universe should be getting a launch dueling roller coaster manufactured by Mack Rides. As I said before, this is likely going to be the most intense ride at the resort, featuring plenty of inversions and forces throughout. Being a roller coaster enthusiast, this is one of my most anticipated attractions by far, but I do have some small potential nitpicks. Firstly, Mack Rides roller coasters are known for having weak launches. I've personally been on Copperhead Strike at Carowinds, and while it doesn't ruin the ride by any means, it was easily the weakest part of it. Secondly is the dueling aspect, which I feel might not be there for long. Many dueling coasters tend to eventually run their tracks separately, removing the interactions between trains that makes them so fun. Even Universal's own Dueling Dragons eventually stopped dueling and became Dragon Challenge. In that case, loose articles were the main culprit, as there were many cases of objects flying out and hitting guests. Even if that issue were to be solved, I think running these tracks separately makes a lot of sense for the sake of capacity. Rather than waiting for 2 trains to load before sending them out in sync, only having to wait for 1 train to load before sending it out means more people can be moved through the ride quicker. That means lower wait times and higher guest satisfaction. I could be wrong about this, but to me, no longer having this ride duel after the first 5 years or so seems almost inevitable. However, I could easily be wrong too. Even if I'm right, both of these concerns are not a big deal whatsoever, just small nitpicks that may bother people like me. The truth is, most people won't care, especially if the layout is great. This has the potential to become one of Universal's best roller coasters, and with its sprawling layout in the back of the park, it'll definitely be up there. As I discussed in a previous video, I don't see this topping Velocicoaster for me, but it could easily add yet another elite coaster to Universal's lineup. Not to mention, this is technically 2 coasters, so re-rideability will be a huge plus with this attraction. Overall, I'm incredibly excited for this ride, especially considering how well regarded most of Mack Rides coasters are. As a whole, this hub looks pretty great. During the day, you have 2 unique rides, plenty of dining locations that I didn't touch on, and a handful of stores that I'm sure will be scattered around. What's more exciting than all that, however, is what this park may offer at night. The promotional material seems to point at a nighttime show, from the spotlights shining into the sky to the fireworks lining the back of the park. I have a lot of hopes for this nighttime spectacular, as Universal has yet to give us anything that rivals Disney's offerings. And while the lighting, fireworks, and even fountains will add to the experience, I'm hoping to see some more modern touches to elevate this show. Firstly, projection mapping to some extent seems like a no-brainer. Since the hotel looks to be mostly windows from the front, I don't know if they would be able to project and map that building. Still, I'm sure Universal could find some unique way to incorporate projection mapped elements. Secondly, and more importantly to me, is the use of drones. This might be a hot take, but drones are superior to fireworks in every way. They're not as loud, they're much less dangerous, and they can create a whole array of images that fireworks could only dream of. I think Epic Universe could benefit greatly from a drone show, as the ones I've experienced personally were great. With the combination of lighting, sound, projection mapping, fireworks, fountains, and drones, this could easily become the best night show in Orlando, if not the entire United States. They may have some trouble considering the people who live nearby, but hopefully that issue has already been resolved. Even so, this hub should be fantastic. The Carousel might not be the most exciting thing in the world, but it rounds out this park's lineup with a nice family-friendly flat ride. On the opposite end of the thrill scale, we have the Mock Ride's Dueling Coaster, which has the potential to break into my top 20 coasters. Rounding out the hub, there's plenty of food and entertainment, including the potential for an incredible nighttime show. That paired with the two hotels at two different price ranges, and this makes a great start to Epic Universe's offerings. It may not be the most exciting area of the park, but I think it'll be more than successful at connecting this park's major lands together. But we'll have to wait until part 2 to dive into those lands. Next time, I'll be touching on Super Nintendo World, which includes both the Mario and Donkey Kong themed lands. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like to show your support. This is one of my most ambitious projects to date, so I really appreciate you all watching till the end. Until next time, this has been a closer look at Epic Universe.